The auctioneer's gavel echoed through the funeral home's meeting room. The chapel on Sorrow Hill Road goes to Maya Reeves for $1 plus assumption of back taxes. Her sister Lauren didn't even look up from her phone. Her brother Marcus actually snorted. They'd gotten the beach house, the investment portfolio, the vintage Mercedes. Maya got a crumbling stone building nobody had entered in 40 years. But that was 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks earlier, Maya pressed her back against the bathroom stall at Giovanni's restaurant, trying to breathe through her nose. Through the door, she could hear the dinner rush, orders firing, glasses clinking, the hostess seating another party. Her hands shook as she opened her banking app. $89.14. Payday wasn't until Friday. Rent was due Tuesday. $1,240 for a basement studio that smelled like mildew and somebody else's cooking. She'd already worked the breakfast shift at the diner. After this shift ended at 11, she'd go home and do data entry until 2 a.m. for hours of sleep, then back to the diner. She was 32. She felt 60. Her phone buzzed. Marcus. Mom's lawyer says she left a will. Meeting Monday, 4 p.m. Try not to be late for once. Maya deleted the text without responding. Their mother, Catherine Reeves, had died 3 days ago. Heart attack, sudden, alone in her apartment. Maya had cried exactly once, in the shower where nobody could hear. She'd taken off work for the funeral, lost $180 in wages, and worn her only black dress that had a broken zipper, sheets safety pinned shut. The meeting with the lawyer felt like visiting another planet. The office had marble floors and oil paintings and a receptionist who looked at Maya's Target blouse with something between pity and disgust. Marcus wore a suit that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. Lauren's engagement ring caught the light. 3 carats, courtesy of her surgeon fiancé. Thank you all for coming, Mr. Brennan said, adjusting reading glasses. Catherine's estate is substantial. The beach house in Cape May, valued at $1.2 million. The investment portfolio, currently worth approximately $800,000. The 2015 Mercedes, personal jewelry, and the property on Sorrow Hill Road. Maya barely heard him. Substantial. $1.2 million. She was calculating what she could do with even $100,000. Pay off her student loans. Fix her car. Sleep more than 4 hours a night. To Marcus Reeves, I leave my investment portfolio. To Lauren Reeves, I leave my beach house in Cape May. To Maya Reeves. Maya sat forward. I leave the property at 440 Sorrow Hill Road, including the chapel structure and surrounding 3 acres, plus all contents therein. Maya is also responsible for $127,000 in back taxes on said property. Silence crashed through the room. Wait, Marcus said. The abandoned chapel? That falling down death trap? The structure is historic, Mr. Brennan said carefully. Built in 1883. It's been empty since 1984. The property taxes are significantly in arrears. Lauren turned to Maya, her voice honey-sweet with false sympathy. Oh, Maya, you can just sign it over to the county, right? Walk away. Because $127,000 in back taxes on a building that's probably condemned. The beach house alone is worth over $1 million, Marcus added. And she gave you a liability. That's actually insulting. Mr. Brennan cleared his throat. There is a letter. He slid an envelope across the desk. Catherine left instructions that Maya read this privately. Maya took the envelope. Her name in her mother's handwriting. She hadn't seen her mother's handwriting in years. They'd communicated in terse texts and obligatory holiday phone calls. The distance between them had been vast, though they'd lived in the same city. Could she contest this? Marcus asked. Because this division is clearly unfair. Mom was competent when she wrote this. Mr. Brennan interrupted. The will is ironclad. And Marcus? The back taxes are specifically Maya's responsibility. The county cannot seize the property without her consent. If she walks away, she'll still owe the debt. Maya felt the walls closing in. $127,000. She had $89.14 in checking. She worked 80 hours a week and still couldn't afford fresh vegetables. Now she owed more than twice her annual income for a building she'd never seen. I need to see it, Maya heard herself say. The chapel. Lauren laughed. Maya, it's been abandoned for 40 years. What are you expecting to find? I just need to see it. That night, Maya drove her wheezing Honda up Sorrow Hill Road. The GPS lost signal twice. Trees pressed close to the narrow road, branches scraping her windows. Then the chapel appeared, rising from overgrown grass like something from a Gothic novel. It was beautiful. Stone walls covered in ivy. Arched windows, some broken, some intact. A bell tower reaching toward the sky, topped with a copper cross turned green with age. The front door hung slightly ajar, swollen-wood wedged in a twisted frame. Maya parked and approached. Evening light slanted through the trees, making the stone glow amber. She pushed the door. It groaned but opened. Inside, the air was cool and still. Pews sat in crooked rows, covered in dust and leaves. The altar remained at the far end, simple stone. But what caught Maya's attention was the light. The way the sunset poured through the broken windows, painting everything gold and rose. And the silence. For the first time in years, Maya stood in perfect silence. Her phone buzzed, shattering the moment. The restaurant. Can you pick up tomorrow's lunch shift? Angela called out. Maya looked up at the vaulted ceiling, at the bell tower entrance in the corner, a narrow stone staircase spiraling into darkness. She pocketed her phone without responding and started climbing. The bell tower stairs were treacherous, crumbling stone, sections missing, a rope serving as the only handrail. Maya climbed slowly, testing each step. Her phone's flashlight barely penetrated the darkness. At the top, a wooden platform surrounded the massive bronze bell, frozen in silence. But what stopped Maya's breath wasn't the bell. It was the wooden crates stacked against the curved wall. Dozens of them, marked with faded labels in what looked like German. She approached the nearest crate. The lid was loose. Inside, wrapped in deteriorating cloth, was a painting. She carefully lifted it, angling it toward her phone light. A woman's face, Renaissance style, rich oils, crackled with age. Signed in the corner, a name Maya didn't recognize. She opened another crate. More paintings. Sculptures. Objects wrapped in canvas. Every crate she checked revealed more treasures. Each piece carefully stored, deliberately hidden. Maya's hands shook as she photographed everything, her phone's storage filling rapidly. Who had put these here? Why? And why had her mother left this place to her? She climbed down as darkness fell, her mind spinning. At home, the basement studio that suddenly felt even smaller, she opened the letter from her mother. My dearest Maya, by now you've found the chapel. I pray you've also found what's inside. I need to tell you a story I've never told anyone. In 1984, I was 28 and working as a translator at an art authentication firm. We were hired by the estate of Klaus Richter, a German émigré who died leaving no heirs. His collection was magnificent, Renaissance masterpieces, sculptures, manuscripts. But as I translated his documents, I discovered something horrifying. The collection was stolen. Not by Klaus, by the Nazis during World War II. Klaus had spent his life hiding these pieces, planning to return them to their rightful owners. But he was afraid. The art world can be vicious. He worried that powerful people who'd bought stolen pieces would come after him. He died before he could make it right. And the firm I worked for? They planned to sell everything quietly, no questions asked. Millions of dollars. I was instructed to destroy Klaus's documentation of the piece's true origins. Instead, I stole the collection. I moved it piece by piece over 6 months. I used the chapel, already abandoned, owned by a client who'd died intestate. I hid everything in the bell tower where no one would look. I spent the next 40 years researching, documenting, trying to find the rightful owners. But I was scared. I was just a translator. I had no power, no credentials. I convinced myself I'd do it someday. Then I got sick, and I realized someday had run out. Maya, you're the strongest person I know. You survived poverty, exhaustion, a world that tried to break you. You keep going. That's why the chapel goes to you. Not to Marcus, who'd sell everything immediately. Not to Lauren, who'd never do the hard work required. The collection is worth approximately $330 million. But it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the families it was stolen from. Museums. Cultural institutions. Your job is to return it. Properly. Legally. With honor. The back taxes are real. I couldn't keep up. But compared to $330 million, it's manageable. I've left documentation in a safe deposit box. Key enclosed. Use the money from the collection's ethical sale to establish yourself. Keep enough to finally breathe. But do the right thing. I'm sorry I wasn't a better mother. I was drowning in fear and guilt. I pushed you away because I was terrified you'd discover my secret. But you deserve better. Do what I couldn't. Make this right. Mom Maya read it 4 times. Her hands trembled so badly she could barely hold the pages. $330 million. Stolen art. Her mother, quiet, distant Catherine, had spent 40 years hiding Nazi-looted treasures. She didn't sleep. Instead, she researched until dawn. Holocaust art restitution. Stolen art databases. Legal precedents. By morning, her eyes burned and her coffee had gone cold, but she had a plan. If you're following Maya's journey, subscribe now, because what happens next will change history. The lawyer she found, Dr. Rebecca Stein, specialist in cultural property law, arrived at the chapel on a rainy Tuesday. Maya had called in sick to both jobs. She'd never called in sick. The guilt sat in her stomach like stones. Dr. Stein stood in the bell tower, examining the crates with gloved hands, her expression shifting from professional interest to stunned disbelief. She lifted a small bronze sculpture. This is a Donatello. A real Donatello. It was looted from a private collection in Florence in 1943. The family has been searching for it for 80 years. How much is it worth? Market value? $15 million. But its cultural value is incalculable. This isn't just art, Maya. This is heritage. History. Someone's family treasure. She set it down with reverence. Your mother's documentation. Is it comprehensive? Everything. Provenance, original owners, how Klaus acquired each piece. She spent 40 years researching. Dr. Stein turned to her. Then we can do this right. Restitution, not sale. We'll work with international organizations, Holocaust survivor groups, cultural ministries. Some pieces will go back to families. Some to museums. You'll receive finder's fees, standard practice in restitution cases, plus rewards some organizations offer. Even being conservative, you're looking at $15 to $20 million in legitimate compensation. Maya's knees went weak. That's not $330 million. No, but it's honest money. And Maya, you'll be giving families closure. Returning stolen heritage. Your mother wanted you to do the right thing. This is it. The work took 9 months. Maya quit the restaurant but kept the diner job. She needed the routine, the normalcy. She hired Dr. Stein full-time. They cataloged, authenticated, researched. They contacted the Commission for Looted Art in Europe, the World Jewish Restitution Organization, Interpol's Stolen Art Database. Each returned piece was a revelation. The Donatello went back to the Rossi family in Florence. 3 surviving grandchildren wept when they saw it. A Rembrandt sketch returned to a museum in Amsterdam. A Torah scroll, hidden in a crate, went to a synagogue in Prague. Marcus called once. I heard you found something valuable. We should split it. Family assets. Maya hung up mid-sentence and blocked his number. Lauren left a voicemail. Whatever you found, Maya, it's not fair that you get everything. Mom wasn't thinking clearly. Delete. Some bridges, Maya learned, were meant to burn. The formal restitution ceremony took place at the United Nations, in a gallery Maya had only seen in photographs. She wore a dress that actually fit, purchased without checking the price tag first. Dr. Stein stood beside her as representatives from 6 countries accepted returned pieces on behalf of families and institutions. The Donatello sculpture was presented to Sophia Rossi, aged 78, whose grandmother had hidden it in a wall before being deported to Auschwitz. Sophia touched the bronze with shaking fingers and whispered something in Italian. A translator leaned close to Maya. She says her grandmother can finally rest. Maya's throat closed up. This was what her mother had wanted. Not profit, peace. But the financial piece came too. Finder's fees, institutional rewards, a French museum's gratitude payment for a returned altarpiece. When the final accounting was complete, Maya's compensation totaled $18.3 million. After taxes, legal fees, and paying off the chapel's back taxes, she had $12 million. $12 million. The number felt absurd. Maya sat in the chapel, now legally hers, taxes paid, structure stabilized, and tried to process it. She'd worked 80-hour weeks for $34,000 a year. She'd chosen between groceries and gas. And now, Ms. Reeves, Dr. Stein appeared in the doorway. The Historical Society called. They want to discuss turning the chapel into a cultural center. Education programs, art history, Holocaust remembrance. They're prepared to offer $800,000 for the property and an additional $200,000 for programming. Maya looked around the space she'd grown to love. The stone walls, now cleaned and repointed. The windows, restored with period-appropriate glass. The pews, repaired and gleaming. She'd poured $300,000 into restoration, unable to let it crumble. Tell them yes, Maya said. But I have conditions. Free admission always. Programming for underprivileged kids. A permanent exhibit about art restitution and the families we helped. They'll agree to that. Dr. Stein smiled. You're becoming quite the negotiator. I learned from watching people take advantage of me for years. Now I know how to stand my ground. The chapel sale closed on a Thursday. Maya used a portion of the proceeds to establish the Catherine Reeves Foundation for Art Restitution, a permanent fund to help families recover looted art. Another portion went to buying a 3-bedroom house with a real kitchen and windows that let in light. Not a mansion, just a home. She kept one job, volunteer coordinator at a homeless shelter. She worked 20 hours a week, enough to feel useful, not enough to destroy her. The rest of her time went to the foundation, to learning about art and history, to building something her mother would have been proud of. The first Christmas in her new house, Maya hung a photograph on the wall. It was from the UN ceremony, Sophia Rossi embracing her, both crying, the Donatello sculpture between them. A moment of justice, decades late, but finally arrived. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Is this Maya Reeves? A woman's voice, accented elderly. Yes. My name is Hannah Blum. Dr. Stein gave me your number. You returned my family's Torah scroll, the one from Prague. Maya sat down. Yes. I'm so glad it made it home. I'm calling because I wanted to thank you, but also to tell you something. My grandmother, the last person to see that Torah before the Nazis came, she used to say something. She said the people who do nothing are forgotten, but the people who do the right thing echo through generations. Maya's vision blurred. Your grandmother sounds wise. She was. And Maya? You echo. What you did. Returning these pieces, honoring their stories. My children know about you. My grandchildren know. They'll tell their children. You echo. After the call ended, Maya sat in her quiet house, in a room full of light, and let herself cry. Not from grief or exhaustion, but from something she hadn't felt in years. Purpose. The chapel reopened as a cultural center on a bright Saturday in May. Families came. Children ran through the restored space. A rabbi led a blessing. Maya stood in the back, watching. Dr. Stein found her there. Your mother would be proud. I spent so many years being angry at her. For the distance. The coldness. I didn't know she was carrying this enormous secret, this guilt. Maya looked at the ceiling, remembering climbing those treacherous stairs for the first time. She gave me the hardest gift. Not money. Responsibility. And you handled it beautifully. Outside, reporters had gathered. The story had made international news. Young woman returns $330 million in looted art instead of selling it. Museums and families restored to wholeness. One woman choosing honor over profit. But Maya slipped out the back in trance. She didn't need the spotlight. She'd spent her whole life invisible. The overlooked daughter, the exhausted waitress, the woman people pitied. She'd learned that being overlooked wasn't the same as being powerless. The chapel's bell rang, restored, polished, ringing for the first time in 40 years. The sound rolled across Sorrow Hill, clear and bright and true. Maya drove home in a car that didn't wheeze, to a house that was warm, with food in the refrigerator and no past-due notices on the counter. She made tea in her own kitchen. She sat in her own living room. She breathed without calculating the cost of the next breath. Her phone buzzed. A text from Sophia Rossi. My granddaughter is studying art history because of you. She says she wants to help families like you helped us. Thank you for showing her what's possible. Maya saved the text. She'd save all of them. The thank yous, the blessings, the stories of returned treasures finding their way home. These messages were worth more than any bank balance. That night, before bed, Maya stood at her window looking at the stars. She thought about her mother, carrying secrets and guilt for 40 years. She thought about Klaus Richter, dying with his mission incomplete. She thought about all the families who'd lost pieces of their history and finally got them back. And she thought about the girl she'd been 6 months ago, broke, exhausted, sure she'd be poor forever. That girl had walked into an abandoned chapel expecting nothing and found a mission, found purpose, found proof that doing the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it costs you, echoes through generations. Some people would say she'd given away a fortune, that she could have kept everything, sold it quietly, lived in luxury forever. But Maya knew better. The real fortune wasn't in the $330 million market value. It was in Sophia's tears, in Hannah's voice saying you echo, in her mother's final gift, the chance to be someone who did the right thing when it would have been so easy to do wrong. She climbed into her own bed, in her own room, and slept 8 hours without interruption. No alarms, no panic, no fear, just peace. Hard-earned, honestly gained, built from choosing honor over profit and people over wealth. The abandoned chapel had hidden treasures, but the real treasure was discovering what she was capable of when given the chance to prove herself. And that was worth more than all the money in the world.